Last week, Wormhole, one of the leading bridges in crypto, announced an airdrop for users. In today's video, I'm going to go through 7 other bridges that don't have tokens yet and could potentially announce an airdrop in the future. Welcome back to Dynamo DeFi. My name is Patrick. As a reminder, everything in cryptocurrency carries risk, and nothing in this video is financial advice. You should still do your own research and make sure you understand all the risks involved before using any of these strategies. Now let's get into the video. To start, let's talk a little bit about this Wormhole airdrop. Wormhole announced this airdrop on February 7th. And Wormhole has a reputation as probably the leading bridge to move from Ethereum to Solana. And if we look here at their announcement, there it is. They allocated 17% of the token supply to the community. They talk about how Wormhole wouldn't be possible without a thriving community of supporters. 11% of that allocation is unlocked at TGE, that stands for Token Generation Event. And then the remainder of it will be unlocked 4 months later. And you can see that they talk about this is an airdrop. The snapshot was already taken. So this video is not about Wormhole because this snapshot was already taken. But I think this is important to understand for context. Why would a project just give away tokens for free? And you can see that's because most of the tokens are going towards people who either maintain infrastructure for the network, who helped build it, who invested in it, and so on. But oftentimes these projects do want to give some tokens to the community. In the case of Wormhole, it's 17%. And the reason why is, first off, they want to build some sort of online community of users often. Second off, by distributing it to the community, it'll build some hype around the project. It's almost like a marketing thing, and then people will become more interested in it. So much of crypto is still tied into online communities and online culture. And then third, you can think of they want some of these tokens out in distribution, right? And so Wormhole did this airdrop, but there's a lot of bridges that have not yet announced airdrops, but that don't have a token. And some of them even have points programs indicating that they are very likely to do an airdrop in the future. All right, so let's look at some of these. First up, we have deBridge. deBridge is integrated with many top applications in cryptocurrency. They advertise themselves as being lightning fast, although I've used it, but I haven't personally measured the speed to see how it compares against other bridges. And if we go to their app, we can see that they don't have as many chains as some of these other bridges we'll look at today. However, they have most of the major ones: Ethereum, BNB, Polygon, Arbitrum, Avalanche, Solana, Linea, Optimism, Base, and Neon. Neon is kind of an EVM compatible layer 2 on Solana. And where I think that deBridge really stands out here is that they actually offer Solana bridging. And because Wormhole was kind of the go-to way to bridge to Solana before, a lot of people would bridge using Wormhole to try to farm that airdrop. Now, if you're bridging between Ethereum and Solana, you can use deBridge instead and try to farm the deBridge airdrop. Additionally, while they haven't announced it yet, they have this points section on their website saying deBridge points are coming soon. So keep an eye out for that, because the fact that they even are mentioning points to me tells me that they're probably likely to do an airdrop. And furthermore, sometimes when these projects launch points programs, they'll actually do retroactive points for people who are already using the app, and oftentimes give some sort of boost to incentivize early users versus people who started using after they started the points program. Next up, we have OwlTo. OwlTo is a bridge for moving between various EVM compatible chains with a focus on Ethereum layer 2s. You can see they have some non-Ethereum layer 2s, specifically BNB chain. However, they've got almost any layer 2 you can think of. They have ZK Sync Era, ZK Sync Lite, Scroll, Linea, Mode, Arbitrum, Manta Pacific, Optimism. OPBNB is a layer 2 for BNB chain. They've got Arbitrum Nova, Mantle, Metis, some smaller ones. They've got a ton of different things. And by the way, in general, with these bridges, you could set a schedule of yourself. Say you wanted to bridge on each of them once a week to try to qualify for an airdrop. However, there are going to be fees involved with them. So a simple thing you can do is anytime you're bridging between any of these chains, if you're using these different layer 2s, especially if you're airdrop farming some of these layer 2s anyways, like Linea, like ZK Sync, like Scroll, then just rotate which bridges you're using to move funds between them, and you will naturally get usage on all of them. And OwlTo, like deBridge, has a points program, except theirs is actually active. And it's in the rewards section here. So if you want to start generating some points, you can do so using OwlTo. And again, basically any Ethereum layer 2, you'll be able to bridge with OwlTo. Next up, third, we have Rango. Rango advertises itself as the #1 universal cross-chain DEX and bridge aggregator. And where Rango really stands out is they support over 60 chains powered by their Rango API. And if we look at some of the chains available, they have your classic major Ethereum compatible chains like Ethereum, BNB, Smart Chain, Arbitrum, Polygon. But then they've got a lot of other chains that typically would be more difficult to bridge to. They also have Solana. They also have some Cosmos chains like Cosmos, Osmosis, Neutron, and DYDX. They even have Thorchain. They have Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin, some proof of work chains that there's very few bridges to. And in these cases, it may be more of a cross-chain swap than a bridge. But point being that if you want to move funds between any of these disparate blockchains, you can actually do so using Rango. And as far as I've seen, they haven't announced any sort of points program yet. They do, however, have this Rango Exchange L2 loyalty program right now. And while this is linked to Arbitrum Rush, I don't think it would hurt to be involved in their loyalty program if you wanted to increase the chance of receiving an airdrop from them in the future. Next up, we have Jumper Exchange. Jumper Exchange is powered by this Li-Fi technology, which is basically aiming to consolidate all DeFi liquidity in one API. Jumper is a flagship application, and by the way, just very sleek interface. But if we get started on the swapping, then we can see they have a number of different chains. They've got Ethereum, Arbitrum Optimism, Polygon, BNB, ZK Sync Era, Polygon, ZK EVM, Base, Avalanche, basically the major EVM ones. So they don't have nearly the variety of the other ones. But again, to what I was saying before, the way I would go about approaching these things is if, for example, you have to swap back and forth between Arbitrum and Base, then maybe you use deBridge, then you use OwlTo, then you use Rango, then you use Jumper, so on and so forth. Maybe you even specifically focus on the ones that only support Ethereum layer 2s. We'll talk about some more of those in a second. And then you use some of these other bridges to go back and forth between Solana and Ethereum, or Solana and Arbitrum. One thing to note here is if you are trying to farm it just by going back and forth, probably wise to choose low fee chains, right? If you go back and forth between Ethereum and another chain, you're just going to get destroyed by fees. So I would be sure to use low fee chains if you're just trying to bridge funds back and forth to generate volume. Next up, we have Bungee Exchange. Bungee Exchange supports, again, Ethereum compatible chains, smaller variety, but to what I was saying with Jumper, rotate which of these bridges you're using to bridge between them, and you will start to generate some volume on the bridge for a future airdrop. Next up, we have Orbiter Finance. Orbiter Finance is a little bit more limited, but that doesn't mean that it's not a good one to farm. Orbiter is specifically focused on layer 2s. So you can see here they have Base, ZK Fair, Linea, ZK Sync Era, Arbitrum, Starknet, as well as some other layer 2s. I'm not going to list all of them here, but there's a lot. And so same rules apply, right? If you're moving ETH between these layer 2s to farm them, if you're moving ETH between the layer 2s just because you want to use a new application, rotate which of these bridges you're using, and try to avoid, if you're trying to generate volume, going to Ethereum too much just because it's going to be more fee intensive. And finally, the 7th bridge that I believe is worth farming right now is Polyhedra. Now, Polyhedra differentiates itself because it uses zero knowledge proofs in its bridging. And while truthfully the experience is somewhat similar right now to many of these other bridges, it does have future implications for the security and scalability of the bridge. And I believe that in the event that there's a narrative with ZK rollups, and there are a lot of ZK rollups launching, so I think that that's a possibility, then in the event that Polyhedra or ZK Bridge launches a token, I could see some of that narrative translating to them. If you want to use Polyhedra, their application is called ZK Bridge. It's linked here on their website. And they have both a token bridge, an NFT bridge, and a cross-chain messenger. And at a minimum, I would use the token bridge if you want to farm this. If you want to move some NFTs cross-chain, then I think that wouldn't hurt either, because oftentimes these airdrops will reward people who take multiple distinct actions on the bridge. But the tokens should be a solid way to farm it. Note that they don't have as many chains as some of these other things, but like many of the bridges, they offer the major Ethereum layer 2s as well as major Ethereum compatible chains. They don't have Avalanche, but they have almost everything else. They have Ethereum, Polygon, Linea, Base, Mantle, BNB Chain, Arbitrum One, Optimism, and Scroll. And one thing to note about ZK Bridge is they actually have ongoing campaigns with Binance and with OKX where they specifically talk about qualifying for a future airdrop, and they have a list of tasks that you should take. This is from their official Medium. They say transfer these tokens in any way, transfer any NFT on there. They walk you through exactly what you should be doing and specifically advertise that there's the potential to qualify for an airdrop from this. And so I think it's very likely that they do an airdrop at some point. And this is one that's on my farming list as well. And if you are feeling overwhelmed by everything I just said, because I went through a lot of different bridges and truthfully a lot of them are somewhat similar from a user perspective, then first off, it's okay to not hit every airdrop. Second off, make a list of these and again, have a rotation when you're moving between chains, which bridge you use, just to try to hit all of them consistently. And if you're not bridging that often, that's okay. Maybe then you only want to focus on 1 or 2 bridges, because ensuring you qualify for a couple of them is going to be better than not qualifying for any of them. And if you want to know which ones to focus on, then I would recommend checking out this database of raises on DeFi Llama. DeFi Llama has a lot of great metrics and other fundamental analysis about crypto projects, and you can actually search a project on here and it will tell you how much they raised. Let's see if Polyhedra is on here. There it is. So we can see Polyhedra, for example. We can see they raised $10 million. This looks like it was maybe last year, and then they raised a Series A. It doesn't have the amount, but you can check on the link and dive in a little more. We can see they raised money in 2024. You can look at other protocols as well in there and try to just see whether they're well funded, and because the ones that are well funded are more likely to have a valuable airdrop in the future. And if you want to learn more about DeFi and airdrop farming, be sure to check out my newsletter, dynamodefi.substack.com. I have a free newsletter once a week that shares the latest trends, narratives, on-chain analysis, and tools to help you in your crypto journey. And then I have more frequent premium posts that walk through exactly how to do research yourself, as well as some more in-depth research that I've done. That's all for today. For more videos like this one, be sure to like and subscribe. And until next time, this is Dynamo DeFi.